how I would go about hypothetically getting money out of politics is I would say, for starters, make it very clear from the beginning, from a certain level, whatever that bottom level is. Say it's Congress, mayor, whatever level you want to make the bottom level, that minimum level is like, okay, once you get to this level, in order to take office at this level, you need to forfeit your right to participate in the free market. Meaning, you can no longer own assets. You can no longer sell assets for profits. You can no longer accept, money from people or
lobbyists or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, or assets from people. This would have to extend to jewelry, to property, and you'd be like, oh, we can take money out of it. Then all of a sudden, people are just gifted houses, right? It's like no. And I might define the rules as being like, you can have one house. Say you had a $10 million house before, okay, fine. You can sell that $10 million house. You do not get to keep any of the money as profit. You can only then instead roll it into a new house. Or it goes to the government. One or the other, right? So we're not going to take it from you, but your only options are to roll it into a new house or, forfeit it. And the reason that you might do this to get into office is then what I would say you give them a guaranteed, almost like a UBI pension sort of thing for their entire life, where every year you get a certain amount of money, but it isn't a defined amount of money in terms of like say $50, $100, $200,000 a year, nothing like that. I think it should be the mean wage of people in your country. So say the average person in your country.
So if it's 180,000 is the median sort of wage when you factor everything.
Mean.
Oh, mean.
Average.
Okay.
Average. So say the average person in America makes $50,000 a year.
Yeah.
Every single politician up to the presidency from a certain level made $50,000.
So you're averaging it on what? Because if you took the average, if you
there's an average wage.
Yeah, but no, I'm saying, but the average wage is actually much higher, because if you take in people that are earning top dollars and you were to factor that in, it actually brings that average up.
No, those are all factored in. And it
brings that average.
The highest earners are raising the average up, but there is still an average, and the average is still relatively reasonable. And the highest earners too, it's not that big of an impact, because you're dealing with 250 average people, and then 50 million
what would
wealthy
be someone's
people and a couple thousand billionaires kind of thing. And even the real wealth, you understand how wealth works. A lot of these people that have this wealth, it isn't that they made, Elon Musk didn't make $100 billion this year.
No.
Elon Musk's assets appreciated by that amount, right? And
technically
it is only realized when he sells.
Exactly.
Right?
It technically could be worth $1 billion if everything tanked to zero.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
you'd have
which a lot of people would still to this day. But let me finish this sort of idea, because then what I think would happen is you're incentivized to get into politics, because worst case scenario, you get to freeload with an average salary.
Right.
You get into office, you do your office stuff, you get out of office, whatever. You get your, you are not doing any worse than the average person in your country, so you don't got to worry about that.
Right.
You're also not doing any better, but you don't have to, you can live a better life than the person who's going to work every day to earn that.
How do you attract the best people for that, though?
What do you mean?
How are you going to attract the
I'm
best
saying what you're attracting is you're never going to be able to attract the best person. There isn't like a particular candy that you can put in the chair to make, the best person to be president go and sit in that chair. But I think all this does is it makes it so that the people who do go into politics, now there isn't this external influence. There's no 7-figure jobs at the end of it that you get by doing what you're told, right? So you lose a lot of the bad actors, I think. And then the honest actors, you get more of them. And what happens with them is now they're in this position where they are directly incentivized to enact policies and do things that benefit the average person, because that benefits them. That directly benefits them. You get the average wage up from 50,000 to 100,000, your quality of life doubles, right? And that would be the case for the rest of your life. And then that way too, you would have ex-politicians who would probably still be involved and vocal, because when the new politicians come in and start doing things that they feel aren't good and are going to be, reducing the average wage, because that's directly what their income is tied to, they're going to be a little bit more vocal about it. And then we, as the people watching, we'd be like, oh, okay, this group of politicians over here, they got the average wage up 10% in their reign, and now this group of politicians over here is doing something different. Wages seem to be going down, and those people are complaining about it. Maybe, that would help us wise up a little more to what's going on. And, I think that might be a system that could be put in place, assuming it could be enforced. It would have to be very harsh punishments for, not following it. But yeah. I think that's a system in place that could help mitigate, corruption, because now there's no.
But you're relying on government to govern itself.
Yeah,
that's troublesome right there. Right?
Yeah, I mean, you already rely on that, though.
That's what I'm saying. But yeah, exactly. But at least with a free market,
it's just a slightly better system.
Yeah, but at least with a free market, it's like
there's still a free market. It's just our politicians aren't involved.
They can't partake in it.
Right, which I think is a good thing.
Which would make them do something shady outside of the free market, I would think.
Not necessarily if it's a very severe punishment. That's why it would have to be a very severe punishment.
And they're still in control of the money. That's where I think you get. I think that's the problem, because I think
control of the money. They're in control of the tax dollars.
Well, the government's in control of money. Well, the problem right now is not. It's not about tax dollars anymore. It hasn't been about tax dollars in years. Ever since 2007, 2008. You just print whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
I mean, quantitative easing was happening before that,
because it effectively reduces the average wage, even if not the number goes down, because now you can you have less buying power for a certain amount, and so now you're directly hurting yourself when you do that.
It's just paying back debt with inflation. Yeah. It's just making us all pay back debt. But
I've wondered if that's a good strategy.
For
the United States has
for
a lot of debt.
For the long term, it's not.
For the long term.
For the short term, it's amazing.
But the U.S. has a lot of debt, right, with China and all these countries around the world. So what happens if the U.S. What if the United States is buying Bitcoin and they're killing the dollar? This is a long shot.
On purpose?
But they're killing the dollar on purpose.
So they don't have to pay back.
Bitcoin's going to inflate because Bitcoin's a hedge against the dollar. Mm-hmm. Eventually, China's debt is just going to be worthless because, $1 trillion US is going to be worth $1 million in today's standard. Mm-hmm. But Bitcoin will be worth $1 billion a coin, and the U.S. government has been accumulating Bitcoin, so they can flip around and be like, all right, we're on Bitcoin now. Mm-hmm. And they're right where they're in the same spot, effectively, economically, and
100%. And of course, that's going on.
Just kind of.
Why do you think
twist yourself out of debt?
Yeah. Why do you think why do you think major institutions are buying up Bitcoin like fucking crazy?
They're not buying them like crazy.
They've been buying them up for crazy. They've been buying them up a lot over the last
more and more.
Yeah.
But it's still like 1% to 2% of portfolios.
Well, yeah. But it's always going to be that. But I'm saying, of the total.
I think there's a reasonable argument to say that it
of
should
the total,
be more, but
well, maybe. But I'm saying, but they never, fund managers never want to. Very rarely they're going to have 10% of anything in their portfolio because they're hedged. They're way too risked. They've got.
It depends how much. Yeah, it depends how much assets you're dealing with. But like people like Warren Buffett,
I'm talking about major guys. I'm not talking about an asset manager who's got even $1 billion of assets under management. I'm talking about. Well, even him, he's small beans when you're talking about when you're factoring like Morgan Chase or these major financial institutions that are in charge of like $1 trillion of assets under management or something. You know what I mean? Like I don't know exactly what what's their face. I'm trying to think of the Fidelity. Like I'm not sure what they are. They were the biggest mutual fund company in the world. They probably still are. I don't know what they have as far as assets under management, but we're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars, right? Where Buffett, I don't know, what is he worth now? Like he's probably still worth pretty close to 100 billion, isn't he, or something? I don't know.
Warren Buffett?
Yeah.
It's like 500.
Is it 500 billion?
He's stupid rich.
Is he really?
Yeah.
You sure he's that high?
I don't know.
Think he's that high.
Maybe
he's never been that high.
The market cap of Berkshire Hathaway with Warren Buffett's net worth.
But even then, I don't even think Berkshire Hathaway, whatever the fucking name of that company is. But my point is,
it's 100 billion is Buffett's personal wealth. Berkshire Hathaway is. I'm gonna look up their market cap real quick.
But my point is that when you're talking about the major companies, they're never really going to own 10% of anything because it's too it's too risky.
You have to buy too much of one thing.
Yeah, it's way too risky for them to have that kind of amount in their portfolio on any one thing. They got to be diversified very well to be able to withstand drops and shit. But I like your idea, but there's just two things that I think are
663. Yeah, I was conflating the market cap of Berkshire Hathaway with Buffett's net worth.
The two things I think that are major drawbacks on it would be, number one, you're not going to draw the best and the brightest. And I think we should be trying to draw the best and the brightest as politicians. Right now, you get the most corrupt fuckers.
I think that would be a better way to draw out the best and brightest.
Better than what we currently have.
Yeah.
But number two, I think the thing that you haven't solved is that they're in control of the money. And they'll just find a way to fucking fuck around, like they always do. Like anybody who goes into a legit, honest game, and they're a crook, will always find a way to crook that, to steal from that game. So you're gonna get those crooks. All those politician crooks are gonna come in. They're gonna figure out a way to fuck around. It's like Obama and his and Michelle and Barack. When they left office, look how much money they made from like speaking engagements and book deals and all this shit. Now they're multi-millionaires. They were making $450,000 in the White House, but now they're multi-millionaires. And how are you gonna stop back end sort of deals like that? Like it would just be, you're asking
severe punishment is corporate punishment,
and then who's enacting that punishment?
Yeah, the honest actors in the government.
But I think, unfortunately, that's the problem. You don't get enough. The honest actors would be weaned out. Or
I think the dishonest actors would be weaned out doing that. It'd be better. And then on top of that, you could decentralize more.
I'd love to see your experiment in play. Right now, it's just speculation, but I honestly don't think that would work like that. Just because of the money thing. I think if you took the money out of their hands, you put it into AI or something like that, some kind of.
But like, what do you mean?
Outside of human.
What do you mean? Like, take the money out of their head? Like, they don't control the money. Like,
sure
there's still a massive free market.
No, no, I'm saying the spending of the government. They still control that shit.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, they would be spending it on things that they should be spending it on, opposed to now, out of self-interest, right? Whereas now they're spending it on things that they shouldn't, out of self-interest.
But what would make them spend it on things they should be spending on? What would be the change?
Because their yearly income is going to go up.
By peanuts, comparatively.
Not by peanuts.
Well, okay, let's say they put the median at $5,000 a year by doing
in 1 year. That's a huge increase.
Not if they can turn around and do a bunch of other bullshit to steal $1 million here and there.
Not if they can't, because the risk is too high. Because there's a decent enough watchdog, system to weed them out.
Who's the watchdog? You're asking the police to police themselves.
We're gonna get the Watchmen involved. We're gonna get Dr. Manhattan to come.
Well, if that, you didn't tell me that part of the story. If I knew that part of the story,
Dr. Manhattan